Tom O'Connor is a senior foreign policy writer over at Newsweek magazine. He joins me now live from New York. Tom, good to have you on the show. Tell me, how much of a dilemma is President Biden facing with Iran now that there's a new president?
Sure. Well, on the positive note, if you're one who supports the JCPOA, of course, President Ebrahim Raisi, of course, has committed to finding a diplomatic solution to this issue. Of course, this goes beyond the Raisi. This is a issue that is a product of consensus of Iranian policymaking elites, and of course, the final seal of approval from the supreme leader himself, who gave it quite some time ago. So Ebrahim Raisi certainly seems poised to want to get this deal done. Now, of course, we're getting in now to the 7th round of talks in Vienna without a set timetable yet. Both sides have said that patience, of course, is a commodity. These talks will not last forever. They won't go on indefinitely. And both sides need to establish the fact that a resulting agreement would be in their interest. So insofar as much as both sides still see eye to eye on that, and the public language says, yes, they do, then there seems to be a light at the end of this tunnel.
Okay. There may be light at the end of the tunnel, and I see and I hear the talk from both sides. But the president, Raisi, said the key for Iran remains what it has always been, and that's the lifting of punitive sanctions. I mean, the question is the U.S. ready to make this move?
Well, that's the issue. I think that if you look at the dilemma that Biden is facing, it's not necessarily a foreign policy one, it's a domestic one. And the issue is that the one thing that Iran would probably like to see most, President Biden can't deliver, and that's an assurance that a future administration won't pull out of the deal as well. So domestic, insofar as much that the domestic pressure on Biden is to get him into this deal, it's not as strong as it was before. And people are skeptical of Iran. Iran is absolutely skeptical of the U.S. here. So that, to me, is the bigger issue here. Is Biden ready to make that step? And of course, what does that step entail? Because there are other secondary sanctions involved, ones that the Trump administration put on, not necessarily related to the nuclear deal, that also are tough to resolve within the framework of the original JCPOA, because those sanctions didn't exist either.
Yeah, I mean, the dynamics have changed quite a bit since 2015. Mm-hmm. Now, as the sides look to sort of revive this deal, it seems that both sides, both Iran and the U.S., want something more. I mean, something on top of the original deal. Isn't that sort of one of the main problems in all this?
Sure. Well, I mean, the old line about, in a good negotiation, no one walks away happy. I mean, this was the product of years of painstaking, talks among countries that don't see eye to eye on things necessarily. And of course, we talk about the U.S. and Iran, but there are many other parties to this deal: China, Russia, France, Germany, the UK, the European Union. I'm sure that no one walked away from the deal back in 2015 saying this was a perfect agreement. I'm sure there were things that all sides would have liked to see involved in it, but it wasn't there. Yet there was a consensus reached, and now the issue is going back to that consensus. It's difficult to turn back time, especially with the trust broken from the U.S. exit. The hope is that, of course, that under President Raisi, that there's a strategic interest for Iran to get into this deal, as of course, in the broader terms of things, Iran is more looking to the east than west right now in terms of its future strategically, economically, and politically.
All right, Tom O'Connor, pleasure having you on, and I do appreciate your analysis. Thank you.
Thank you very much.